Welcome back, Keepers of the Flame. Okay, holy interruption day. Okay, so I told you guilt and shame was on its way. Here we grow. Okay, buckle up. This is gonna be a little bit uncomfortable. Not too bad, but I'm gonna bring up a few probably examples that you're gonna be like, oh. Okay, so so the purpose of guilt and shame is to shut down, snuff out, overthrow, control, and manipulate the human being. Not just the situation, the human being, and the human being's perception of the situation. And we'll get into a few examples, but that removes the autonomy of the person. It removes the sovereignty, and it removes any chance of having authenticity in your environment. So when you're seeking to guilt and shame, that's the thing too, is like oftentimes when we are really over inundated with these systems that we buy into with the guilt and shame, we begin to think that the modality of guilting and shaming is an acceptable place to exist in the world. Yes, I said place, because you create your own environment. You get to shift that and shape that however you want. People need to get into the reality of the situation, which is you're not a victim of your circumstance. You're a victim of your own programming. You're a victim of the things that you think that you have to be doing, which in actuality are not true. You don't have to. These are all choices, okay? And I'm not trying to victim blame here. I am saying that your structure, your construct, your programming, your indoctrination has set you into a place that is the only thing you're allowed to perceive. So if you get into my previous videos about the central nervous system and how to get actually physically safe in the body rather than some psychoanalysis program, whatever. No, there's real physical ways for you to get safe in your body. And it does not involve some sort of psychotherapy talk. That's not really going to help. It might flesh out a few things, but it's not going to help you actually take back your sovereign, autonomous nature. Okay, that's what we all have a right to access in our life. And they know that, so they hijack it in every single solitary way possible, okay? By hijacking our central nervous system. And oftentimes we give it up freely because guilt and shame. And you can see that all pervasive throughout government, all pervasive throughout religion, all pervasive. I mean, it's forced upon us with the taxes and the banking systems and all the financial things that we have to slave away for, to give away to the, do you see how this works? It's just like the Nazi white coats poison the shit out of our environment, so we have to go to a Nazi white coat institution and get treated medically for our sicknesses that were induced by all the toxins and poisons in our environment, creating a codependency on the system. We'll build a factory. We'll make misery. We'll create the cure. We made the disease. The whole thing. Yeah, you're gonna have to get comfortable being uncomfortable on this channel. But I'll burn with you there. I've known this for many years, almost 2 decades now. So when we can see that for what it is, the thing is set into motion. Every time you see things for what they are, rather than the illusion that somebody else wants you to perceive them to be, everything gets set into motion. Everything moves. Everything starts moving. Okay? And that movement lets you see a pattern. It lets you see the energy flowing through the system. Okay? And then you're able to touch. Because if you can't see it, you can't touch it. You can't do anything with it. If you can't see all the systems that are literally keeping you enslaved, you're not going to be able to touch it. And then you can't move it in a way that you want to move it. You can't subtract all of the things that you're putting into it on an unconscious level. So you you're not able to come into a place of sovereignty because your energy is being hijacked without you even knowing it through the acts of guilt and shame. If you are being guilted or shamed, you are being coerced, manipulated, and controlled. And then what that produces is a vast amount of people on the planet that guilt and shame others, because that's the system they believe should exist. Okay, so it's mommy and daddy's fault. It's church's fault. It's whatever's fault. It's blah, 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 blah. These are all things that come into our existence to show us. I see that for what it is. I see what that did. I see how religion coerced me into controlling me, and how I thought about the world and what I perceived the world to be, and how I told other people that they had to be, and whatever else. I was guilty of it too. I did it too. Catholic, first altar girl. I was all about it. Okay. When we come into this, oh, lady, what the fuck? I get it. I hear you. So they will set that system up as a guilt and shame. Okay. So if they can keep you in that space of feeling so freaking bad for doing X, Y, Z, attempting to be any sort of autonomous, sovereign, authentic, not under their construct, they have complete control. Okay. So then you get into the modality of, I'm going to do exactly what I'm told. I'm going to be the perfect thingy, the blah, 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 right? So you, okay, Scorpio, we take it to the extreme. Okay. So, okay, all the way. It was disgusting. I do not approve of who I used to be whatsoever. At all. Whatsoever. Ooh, it was bad. As bad as you think it is, it was worse. Okay. So when we get to a point where we begin to realize that it does not fucking matter. No one is going to reward you for being a good slave. No one's going to reward you for being a good slave. You're going to have to deal with all of the guilt and shame from every single solitary person in your environment for the rest of your life. And if you, by any means, begin to crumble underneath having to carry all of that weight, you will be abandoned. I think they call it the trad wife to single mother pipeline or something like that. Yeah. Went through that years ago. So control is the key. Okay. And if you don't abide, you're going to lose your tribe. Okay. That's running through our systems right now. Unfortunately, they didn't pay attention very much to the men because boys will be boys. So the amount of women having to continue to do this by themselves and just kind of be subjugated by the male and do all the things that they want us to do, but without any responsibility, the ability to respond. Now we have a whole slew of single women. Oh boy. Yeah, it's not good. Okay. So what are the results of this, though, power and control over people, other than what I just stated? So the deep, intimate connections, even not even just with a partner, with a lover, a mate, whatever it is. Those are gone. You can't have access to those under the systems. Those are forbidden. Kind of like that 1984 book thing. Everything's toasted. If they were to ever have been caught even glancing lovingly at another human being, even if it wasn't each other, glancing lovingly at another human being, oh my God, the minions that come out of the freaking woodwork. We live in that system right now. We live in the system right now. Those deep connections are not allowed to function. The minions and the Agent Smiths will just scream out of the woodwork and demolish whatever the hell that could have maybe been. They'll demolish it. And so because we've been so instituted to not hold sacred anything but the systems themselves. What did we just see out in the street? Our taxpayer dollars that we slave for being paid to an army to torture us because we're starting to get a whiff of how fucked our systems are. We pay so that they come down on us. If you don't want to break shit over that, you got some work to do. Okay. So, next little point. No genuine service. So when you're going out to whatever you're working at, it doesn't matter. When you're going out into the community and providing anything, even at the grocery store, if you're not, being kind and generous and whatever else out in the grocery store, we are giving from such a place of lack that there's no genuine, authentic service either. There can't be. I'm not shaming those people. I am saying because of what we have freaking allowed, we're not going to ever perceive of even that being a thing because we are under so much fucking stress. It's not allowed to function there. It's just, there's not going to be any access point to it. We have to start perceiving this. We have to start understanding that the systems are the problem, not the fellow human beings that are just trying to fucking exist in the world. Fuck's sakes. It's the system. It's all of the systems, the government, the religions, the banks, the corporations, the whatever the hell it is that's like money grubbing. And that's not all billionaires. There's billionaires out there doing fucking amazing things, and it's beautiful, and I love it. Fucking rock out. But we do not have access to that humanity within ourselves. That's why the system is crumbling. They have totally fucked themselves, successfully, I might add, repeatedly, over thousands of years. Okay? And now the system is crumbling. The astrology says it, the times say it, everybody knows it. Okay? I said to one of my girlfriends, I think it was last year, I can see what's happening, I know what's coming, and I know it's going to crunch me, and I'm not scared. It's just like, oh my God, me too. So, the genuine service is not going to be allowed to exist because when you're not safe in your central nervous system, and you're giving from a place of lack and depletion, of course it's going to go out the window. Of course nobody's going to want to show up to work because they're sick. They're physically sick because their system can't take the shit anymore. Okay? So, then brings me to kind of like a religious narrative. It's absolved of responsibility. This is for the religious crew, you'll notice. They will not look this. This is the fruit on the tree. We are waiting around in the fruit on the tree, and that is forbidden to them. Oh, you thought their narratives were just mythological woo-woo? This is the fruit on the tree, and they will deny it even exists. It's just an illusion. It doesn't exist. We're not allowed to touch it, eat it, go near it. It's riddled with snakes. It's low vibe. Just because it doesn't have religions doesn't mean the religious didn't infiltrate. You fail to understand that those things that they created, those narratives, those storybooks, run this. Shut down that and demonize that. And they will infiltrate anything that threatens them, which is genuine, authentic spirituality. They cannot have it on the planet. They will curse it. They will infiltrate it and sabotage it from the inside out. Okay? Absolved of responsibility for what they have manifested into society. And if you think for 1 second government and religion are not fucking 7 ways from Sunday behind that green velvet curtain, you have not been paying any attention, and you need to go sit down and do some human homework. Okay? Look at Freemasons, Mormonism, and every last CEO. Elon's CEO is a Mormon. Get on your human homework, please. Okay. Then you have lack of reciprocation. So even if you are trying to get into this mode and you are feeling this deeply within your bones and you want to go out and demonstrate how that could happen in humanity, the restriction of reciprocation will keep that in place. So it's really insidious how it works. Is the people feeling it in their bones, their system, and wanting to have a genuine connection will by default almost shut down and shut off. Even though they want the connect, they feel the connect that could happen, they'll shut down. Try staying open. Try staying with yourself. Try receiving. That's a very difficult thing, especially for those of us who have been so entrained to just give. Just give and fuck off. Come back to give and then fuck off. Give and then fuck off. Okay, so we've learned how to find those recesses within ourselves. We've learned how to cultivate the things that allow us to keep giving, right? What we have little to no capacity for is receiving. And that's going to be a very difficult concept for us to grapple with in the future, is receiving. I know for me it is. It's a huge problem. I have a huge as bad as you might think it is, it's far worse. It is far worse for me. It is one of the most difficult things I think I have ever had to deal with in my life. And I had to deal with some difficult things. But this is one thing that I am deeply struggling with right now. Deeply struggling with. And this is why I have all this. Because I have to grapple with this myself. This isn't coming out of thin air. I don't have a freaking workbook. I'm not a Marxist. None of that. I don't believe that we should have a universal income. Handing all the things over to the authoritarian right now and going, please, Daddy, could you just distribute as we need? What? No. So no. Nope. Nice try, though. Good try. Ain't gonna fly here. This is totally new. And I'm not all the way there yet. I don't think we are. None of us are. But I'm telling you. My personal responsibility here is like to turn around and say, okay, this is the sheer fuckery of it. Let's rock it. Okay. So then we get the loss of humanity. When there's a loss of reciprocation, we tend to have to go back or just stay in the hole of not having access to our own humanity. Ooh, breathe. Yeah, that's a sucky thing to have to admit, that you just haven't had access to your own humanity. So therefore, connecting with others is a difficult thing. You can pretend like you are. You can give like nobody's business. You can listen like nobody's business. But in order to form that deep, intimate connection, there has to be receptivity. Like lack of reception, like I had last one. Okay. So there's your teeter-totter. Receptivity, humanity. Okay. In order to be able to receive, I have to admit my own humanity in this. I have to see myself as human. I have to allow myself to be human. I have to step into that humanity and say, oh my gosh, is there really an access point there? Because before there wasn't, and when I stepped into it, ooh, did I get it? Okay, and when those access points were offered, they were extremely shameful. And now I'm like I said, I've been through some shit. Okay, so the loss of humanity is always knocking. Your job is just to say, I see you. You are not welcome here. I keep my humanity, right? And again, the receptivity part. And again, I'm still dealing with that, so don't ask any questions when it comes to that in the comments, because I have no real yet on it, okay? Yay. Okay. So what's the remedy, right? Okay, on that part I don't quite have it. But I have a few little thingy things. So starting to connect deeply with yourself. The aspect of being, I hate to say worthy because that's stupid. When you're born here, you you deserve to have access to all the things that will sustain your life. And we've conned everybody into believing that's not true. Because you're not a slave to the system, you don't deserve a roof or food. This is our narrative. I don't care who the fuck you are. This is our collective narrative. Homeless people are just low vibrational, I guess. It's a vibration. It's not a vibration. It's an illusion. And we've all bought into it. Every single solitary person who is born here deserves a house and food. Radical, I know. Oh, someone go get the towel. Let us burn her. Okay. Yup. Yeah. Okay. This is the humanity part. This is the humanity part. Okay. If you are birthed here, you belong here. And you belong in a house. You belong to have some food and some warmth and some, shelter from the cold and the elements and whatever else, and some time to explore the world that you were created on without restriction of having to fill out a bunch of Gestapo paperwork just to cross an imaginary fucking line. Yeah, that. Ooh. But Lady Order, what are we going to do with the criminals? Here's the radical part, kids. If everybody has what they need, do you think they're going to seek to try to take everything from everybody else? Nope. If we just form solid communities like Minneapolis just did, warlords aren't going to be allowed in the freaking communities. Funny old world, isn't it? We just saw what happens when people say fuck off. Time to take the manual and apply it. Okay? Now, here's where we get really radical. This is the actual radical part. Radical self-acceptance, radical self-love. Ooh. Do you know what that is? What is love for you? I have my definition. You need to find yours. And it's not the same for everybody. There's no universal definition of love. It's a universal vibration, but it's not a universal definition. Figure out what it is for you. My definition of love is the avocation for my own or another's spiritual expansion. Again, that is not the definition of love. That is my definition of love. It does not have to be yours. Do you understand? Because love feels different for everyone. People receive love differently. People sometimes don't know how to receive love. Okay? So my reciprocatory whatever love thing might have a completely different definition. And no, it's not in that stupid 5 languages book. It has nothing to do with any of that. It is a frequency that you feel and resonate with in your body. Nothing else. I cannot stress this enough. Okay. Radical self-care, radical self-compassion, and radical self-forgiveness. Okay. And here's the really difficult part that you're probably going to backpedal the most on, is when you begin to genuinely connect. Let everything, the other person literally be, or the other being, if it's a dog, a plant, literally you take them into yourself and you ask yourself, what is their best interest? Am I looking out for their best interest? Am I listening genuinely to what they're trying to tell me? Am I receiving what the information they are trying to bring me? Am I reciprocating that? Am I saying, okay, I see that you have a need. I have this need. How can we, right? Those things are, nobody talks about that. Everybody's like, just give me a list. It's not on a list. It's not a honey-do thing. It's a, you know what? We need to get real and we need to get human with each other. And again, it doesn't have to be partner to partner. It can be friend to friend, business partner to business partner. What do we need to help this business grow? How do we keep our relationship clean and clear so that this business or whatever it is takes off clean and clear, stays clean and clear? That the highest good of all is always taken into consideration, that we don't abuse whoever the fuck we choose to employ, that we don't choose to put our workers in fucking diapers so we can make an extra buck, so that we're not buying billions of yachts and whatever the fuck else while our workers can barely pay to have a Christmas turkey, much less any presents. See what I'm saying? Okay. So when you get into those connections and you start to realize what you have been denying yourself and every person you've interacted with, access to this, the fucking program loop will come back and bite you in the ass. Because then you're going to have to start dealing with all the shit in your closet that you shut those relationships down. You didn't enter them in a conscious, connective way. You just said, okay, this feels good. They're being kind of nice. Let's do it. And it doesn't mean, I'm not saying like on a sexual level. I'm saying let's have a relationship. Let's be intimate in all the ways. And here's my stuff. Where's your stuff? Let's see it. And again, love looks different for everybody. Intimacy looks different for everybody. Look where your Venus is. Mine is in Scorpio. I like it raw. I don't want any filters. I don't, warts and all this stuff. Like, I don't want to see a facade. I don't give a fuck about that shit, obviously. So when we have the opportunity to start doing this, be gentle with yourself, because the reality of the situation is this: they spend so much time and energy and money on it because it's effective, because it works. The guilt and shame mechanism works, and it is everything to do with keeping you so isolated and alone and not feeling capable, that they will come in, that when you do begin to explore those notions of this, that, and the other thing, of like, oh, the depth of this situation that I was ignoring. Okay, you're gonna have those moments where you're like, oh my freaking God, what have I been doing this whole entire fucking time? Yes, I was taking care of basic needs, and yes, I was doing all the things society deems worthy and all this other stuff, but was I really there consciously? Was I all right, Vicious Savage? Was I really all the way there? Did I really, really deeply connect with this person that I cherish? What do you need, my love? Okay, so getting into those beautiful, wonderful, magical spaces and forgiving yourself for not being 1,000%, 20,000% of the time. Okay, and that's the other thing too, is like, that's where they want you to feel the guilt, especially for females. We're the caregivers, right? We're the ones that are supposed to be all the things to everybody, 1,000%, 150% of the time, yada, yada, yada. When it takes a fucking village, and we expect, especially women, to be an entire village all the fucking time, 24/7, even in our dreams. We're not a village. We're one person. And we might be able to do a few things, but we can't do them all. And that's where the real tragedy is we've gotten into like forcing people to check all the boxes in one relationship. And that's quite unreasonable. And yes, that's unreasonable for men to have a, all these boxes have to be ticked, otherwise no go. Well, what if they can do this, that, and the other thing? But the problem is for doing this, that, and the other thing, they expect usually is sex. So rather than just being human and interacting on a human level on an intimate basis where there doesn't need to be sex involved all the time, 24/7, I'm not saying we swipe it entirely. I'm saying that requiring the reciprocation be sex, just allow the person to give you what they can, what they're willing to give you, what they are fiercely passionate about giving. And you have to be okay with it not being sex. It's a difficult concept for a lot of people. I get it. But it has to be accepted. That like, there's so many of us out there that want to give, but there's so many people out there that don't want to receive it if they can't stipulate what it is. Medicine does not always taste good, and medicine doesn't always look how we want it to. And yes, there's medicine in sex. I'm not saying there's not, but the world does not need more sexual abuse in it just so you can feel like you got your medicine dosage. Okay? And that's a tale for another day. But fierce compassion when it comes to interaction and connecting on those deep levels. Fierce compassion for yourself and the other when they might not be able to hold the space. They might not be able to maintain the connection. And that's okay. Release with grace and gratitude and move on. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just a fact of life that there's not a cookie cutter thing out there. There's no one size fits all. There's not one and done. There's none of that. That doesn't exist in the world. And we have to stop forcing people into the narratives that we want them to fulfill. If you want something, fucking do it. Go get it. But it can't involve harming or manipulating another human being. Get sovereign in yourself and then let the frequency draw in those people that are on the same frequency. And that want the same things, and that do the same things, and that perform a specific, and maybe it's you click together like gears on a thing where it's not exactly the same, but the complementary is there, okay? And build a tribe around that, okay? Until next time, I love you. Keep your flame.